talk to you guys about macros. And one thing a lot of people want to know when they have a fitness goal is what should their macros be?
Bring the beat in.
Hey everyone, it's Christine with Gauge Girl Training, an online meal planning and coaching service. I'm a food scientist and a chemical engineer by training. I'm also a national NPC bikini competitor. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about macros. And one thing a lot of people want to know when they have a fitness goal is what should their macros be? Now, if you don't know what macros are macronutrients. All food is broken down into either protein, carbs, or fat. So the first thing you want to know in figuring out your macros is how much energy your body needs, hypothetically, if you were at rest for 24 hours. This value is called your BMR. The BMR is how much energy it takes your body to function when you're not digesting any other foods, you're not doing any other bodily functions other than just existing. Pretty interesting because the human BMR is proportional to temperature, and humans, or mammals essentially, we're endotherms. This means that our bodies highly depend on our temperature. So when it's cold out, we shiver. When it's hot, we sweat. So our bodies are always using energy to adjust our temperature. Now, BMR can be measured in a lab. It requires the body to fast for so many hours, be hooked up to all these devices to monitor your oxygen and CO2 content, or you can use an equation developed by scientists to model it. Now, the equation that I like to use, because it is probably the most reliable model, is called the Mifflin-St. Jean equation. And I'm going to write that down on the board and explain the factors that are involved in this equation. The male BMR is 10 times the weight in kilograms plus 6.25 times your height in centimeters minus 5 times the age plus 5. Female BMR is 10 times the weight in kilograms plus 6.25 times height minus 5 times age minus 161. This is a model that is pretty darn accurate at estimating BMR. Now, it's interesting because the first thing, you're always going to need to know your weight and height. Why? Because your weight and height say a lot about your mass. The more mass you have, the more energy it takes to fill your body. Age matters because your metabolic rate actually drops with age. So over the age of 30, your muscle mass decreases by about 5 to 10% per decade. So you can intercede this by doing strength training and working hard to maintain your muscle mass. But in general, muscle mass does drop 5 to 10% per decade. And then lastly, of course, gender, because gender is going to have an influence on body composition, where on average, females have a 5 to 10% lower BMR than males. So that being said, first thing we want to do is calculate our BMR. So I'm going to use myself as an example. 140 pounds. I am at 5'8", and I am 34. So those are my stats, and I am going to run my numbers for what my BMR is, and then we are going to apply that to an example for my goals. This is the base amount of calories that my body needs to function without factoring any activity in. The next question is, I want to apply an activity factor to this. There is a well-established metric of activity factors, which I'm going to explain. So in order to find out how many calories my body needs in a day just to maintain my current body composition, all that good stuff, I need to take my BMR and multiply it by an activity factor. Now, an activity factor of 1.2 is sedentary. This is for person who's got a desk job. They probably don't do a whole lot. No more than walking to the mailbox, maybe walk your dog. Activity factor of 1.375. This is light activity. You might work out maybe 1 to 3 times a week. At 1.55, we're talking about 3 to 5 times a week. At 1.725, we're talking about 6 to 7 times a week. And 1.9, you're probably like almost a professional athlete, or you have like a physical job, maybe you're a construction worker, something that has you on your feet all day. So for me, what I'm going to do is I am in this range. I work out about 3 to 5 times a week. So I'm giving myself an activity factor of 1.55. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take my BMR, which is 1428.3 times an activity factor of 1.55. So I need 2,213 calories per day to function. Now this is when I want to talk about my goal. So if my goal was to gain weight from here, I would use this base information and consider a weight gain goal. If I wanted to lose weight, I would use this information as the starting point to factor in how I would lose weight. So I'm going to use the example assuming I want to lose weight. So in order to lose weight, number one, you need to burn 3,500 calories to lose 1 pound of fat. So if I wanted to lose 1 pound of fat per week, I would need to lose 3,500 calories per week. 3,500 divided by 7. I need to be in a caloric deficit of 500 calories per day if I wanted to lose 1 pound per week. So what does that mean? I would need to subtract 500 from this. I would need to be at 1713 calories per day if I wanted to lose 1 pound per week. Now, here's something to be mindful of. You probably often hear people say, okay, so you can lose up to 2 pounds a week safely. I think that's actually pretty aggressive. And what I recommend is a caloric deficit here of 500 calories per day. I'm gonna lose a pound a week, that's great. As a maximum, I don't suggest going any lower than 800 calories per day in a caloric deficit right here. All right, so you have to remember, I've already taken into account my activity. I've already said I'm only working out 3 to 5 times a week. I do work out about 5 times a week, but I'm keeping it realistic here because you don't want to overestimate your activity. So all that being said, now that I know, the question now becomes, how do I break that up into macros? How do I know how much protein, how much carbs, how much fat? How do I know that? So let's go through it. Let's assume that I want to reach a goal weight of 135 pounds. Let's say I just want to lose 5 pounds. What would it look like? So rule of thumb for protein is you want to consider approximately 1 gram per pound of body weight, but that can vary. That can vary anywhere from 0.8 to 2.0 times your body weight in grams. So for the sake of these calculations, I'm gonna say 1 gram per pound body weight, and I'm gonna base this off of my goal weight. Now carbs would be the balance. So for protein, we know that 1 gram of protein has 4 calories. So we would take this and multiply this number by 4, take this, multiply it by 9. This would tell me how many calories are coming from protein. This is 540 calories. My fat, that puts me at 486 calories. Now I'm going to work backwards to get my carbs because my total I can have is 1714. So I'm going to subtract these two. 688 calories per day I can have from carbs. Now I would have had to multiply it by 4, so I'm going to divide that by 4. So now this is a ballpark of where I'm gonna start to base my macros off of. A few things, because I know this about my body. This is gonna be a little bit too high in carbs for me, just because I know how my body responds. And for protein, I'm actually gonna boost my protein a little bit higher, do some adjustments. 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight is actually gonna be too low for me because I am seeking to have a more muscular physique, not like a He-Man like physique, but I want a tight, lean physique, and I know in order to do that I need to have a certain amount of muscle mass on my body. So I'm going to tweak my protein factor and I'm also going to tweak my carbs. I can go through the tweaking on this, and a lot of the tweaking is gonna go based off of experience and a lot of other things, but this is a definite great place to start just for a ballpark to get you some experience in what macros are all about. Now, if you want a custom meal plan or you want your macros calculated for you and you need some help getting started, you can go to agegirltraining.com. If you like this video, please subscribe, and I just want to thank you all for watching. So take care and be healthy. Bye now.